Some people look peaceful on the outside while silently abandoning themselves inside. They smile, they help, they agree, they stay available, and everyone calls them kind. But underneath that pattern is often something much deeper: fear of rejection, fear of disappointing others, and fear that telling the truth might cost them love. Today's animal story reveals what happens when kindness loses contact with truth. This is the story of the deer who said yes to everything. Welcome to Integrity 444 Animal Archetype Story Lessons, where we use symbolic animal stories to explore emotional patterns, psycho-spiritual growth, LTQS self-mastery, and aligned living. In this episode, we're uncovering what the deer reveals about boundaries, people-pleasing, emotional truth, and the quiet pain of self-betrayal. The deer is a creature of gentleness, grace, sensitivity, and care. Its gift is compassion. Its gift is softness. Its gift is the ability to move through the world with relational awareness and tenderness. But when that gift becomes distorted, it can turn into something painful: overgiving, weak boundaries, and the habit of saying yes to preserve peace while losing peace inside. This story begins in a place where kindness is admired, but truth has quietly gone missing. In a beautiful place called Willow Meadow, there lived a deer named Lena. Lena was known by everyone as the kindest creature in the meadow. If someone needed help gathering berries, Lena said yes. If someone wanted company crossing the stream, Lena said yes. If someone forgot their task and needed help finishing it, Lena said yes again. And because Lena was so gentle, so dependable, and so easy to ask, the animals of the meadow grew used to her constant agreement. They praised her sweetness. They called her a blessing. They told one another, "If Lena is here, everything will be all right." And every time Lena smiled. But slowly, something inside her began to change. Her body grew tired. Her chest tightened whenever someone called her name. At night, Lena lay awake with a heaviness she could not explain. Still, the next morning, she kept saying yes. One day she planned to rest by the stream. She had been longing for one quiet hour to breathe, to listen to the wind, to feel her own thoughts again. But before she could go, Miko the rabbit rushed up to her and said, "Lena, could you help me gather food for my family? I'm behind and I really need you." Lena felt the truth inside herself immediately. She was tired. She did not want to go. Her spirit wanted rest, but she smiled and said, "Yes, of course." On the way back, another animal asked if she could carry extra bundles. Again, she said yes. Then someone else asked if she could help prepare the evening circle. Again, she said yes. By sunset, Lena was exhausted. But the hardest part was not only the tiredness, it was the quiet resentment rising underneath her kindness. That evening, while the animals gathered, someone laughed warmly and said, "Lena always says yes." But instead of feeling honored, Lena felt something break quietly inside her. Because in that moment, she realized they all knew her as helpful, but almost none of them knew when she was tired. They knew her availability, but not her truth. That night, Lena walked alone to a still place in the meadow called the Listening Pool. It was said that anyone who looked long enough into its waters would not only see their face, but also the feeling beneath the face. Lena looked into the pool. At first, she saw what everyone else saw, a soft expression. But as the water stilled even more, the reflection began to change. She saw the tiredness in her eyes. She saw the sadness hidden beneath her sweetness. And then, as though the pool itself were speaking, she heard these words: "Peace without truth becomes pain." Lena stepped back, startled. No one had ever said it to her that way before. The next morning, she met Toma the elephant, who had long watched the meadow with wise and steady eyes. He looked at her gently and asked, "Lena, when was the last time your yes felt true?" Later that day, Safa the owl spoke to her from above and said, "When your mouth says yes and your spirit says no, your heart learns confusion." That sentence settled deep inside her. Lena began to understand. Outside, she was kind. Inside, she was disappearing. Soon another moment came. Miko the rabbit came running again, asking Lena to help with yet another task. Lena felt the old reflex rise, to smile and agree for the sake of peace. But this time, something different happened. She paused. She listened. She felt the truth she had been ignoring for so long. And with a trembling voice, soft but clear, she said, "I cannot help today. The meadow seemed to go still. Nico blinked in surprise. Lena felt guilt rise immediately. Fear rose too. But then something unexpected happened. Nico did not become angry. He simply paused and said, "Oh, I didn't know you needed rest." In that moment, Lena felt both grief and relief. From that day forward, Lena began practicing something new. Not hardness, not withdrawal, truth. Sometimes her answer was yes, but now it came from willingness. Sometimes her answer was no, but now it came from honesty. And something changed in the meadow, too. Others began carrying more of their own responsibility. They began asking with greater awareness. They began seeing Lena not only as available, but as a real being with limits, needs, and truth. Her heart did not become less loving. It became more honest, more whole. This story is not only about a deer, it is about what happens in us when we confuse kindness with self-erasure. The deer represents the gentle, relational, sensitive part of the human being, the part that wants harmony. But the deer's shadow appears when harmony becomes more important than truth. It appears when we say yes with our mouth while our body is saying no. It appears when our goodness becomes tied to availability, compliance, and self-silencing. And that is where people-pleasing becomes painful. Because people-pleasing is not simply being nice. Very often it is fear wearing the face of kindness. Fear that if we become truthful, we may no longer be lovable. Through the LTQS lens, this story unfolds in 4 movements. First, listen. Lena begins to notice the cost. She notices her fatigue. This is the first movement, listening deeply enough to recognize that something inside is out of alignment. Second, tell the truth. The truth of the deer is simple but profound. I keep saying yes when my spirit is saying no. That is the confession, not I am unkind, but I am betraying my own truth to preserve comfort. Third, choose wisely. The turning point comes when Lena finally says, I cannot help today. It is a small sentence, but it is a sacred one, because wise choice often begins with one honest boundary. Finally, stay aligned. Then comes the deeper work. Not just one no, but a new way of living. A clean yes. A peaceful no. A refusal to keep abandoning the self just to maintain false peace. That is alignment for the deer. From an EFV perspective, this story reflects the fawn response. This is the state where a person adapts, appeases, agrees, or over-accommodates in order to maintain safety, connection, or approval. In this pattern, the nervous system learns, keep others comfortable. Over time, that creates energy leakage and resentment. The healing move is to shift from appeasement into truthful, peaceful boundary. Not aggression, not shutdown, but grounded honesty. That is the regulated deer. So what does this look like in real life? It may look like saying yes when your stomach tightens. It may look like over-explaining when you need rest. It may look like being known as dependable while privately feeling exhausted. And here is the deeper question. Where has your kindness lost contact with truth? Because once kindness becomes disconnected from truth, it stops being clean. It becomes costly. Healthy love includes truth. Healthy peace includes boundaries. So here's the question I want to leave with you. Where in your life has your yes stopped being true? And maybe a second question underneath that. What are you afraid will happen if you tell the truth peacefully? Let this be your declaration. My gentle heart does not require self-betrayal. Again, my gentle heart does not require self-betrayal. And one more time, slowly, my gentle heart does not require self-betrayal. If this story spoke to you, share in the comments which part hit deepest. Next Thursday, we continue with The Lion Who Roared at Everyone, exploring the hidden fear beneath anger and reactive power. I will see you then.